All right, let me get that video here. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Hello, hello. This is Lane Dockstader with LI Training, one of your Be Connected coaches. I have as a guest with us Alan Stevens, and Alan is from Australia. Did they call it an Aussie? Is that okay to say? Is that what they call him?
Yep. Yeah, we're all Aussies over here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'd like to talk to Alan and find out a little bit about him, and hopefully take a couple, at least two or three actionable steps that any of us can take and hopefully apply to our business. So first of all, Alan, welcome, welcome,
Thank
welcome to
you.
the first Thrive in the Hive show here. And so tell me this. So who is Alan Stevens? Who are you?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, as far as in life, I'm a father of three sons, a grandfather of six grandkids. Business-wise, I'm a profiling and communication specialist, and my whole life is about helping people to build stronger relationships.
Awesome. And isn't that important, both personally and then of course in business as well. So awesome, awesome. Well, tell us one fun thing about you, because I know, of course, the CEO of Be Connected, Tanya Hoffman, she often says, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. So let's start off with, besides learning a little about you, what's one fun thing about you that people might like to know?
Oh, one of the things I'm very focused in what I do in business and everything else with the charity work and other things, but uh, it's for me, fun is just enjoying other people and spending time with them. And that's something that I really love to do, especially learning from people, finding out all about them. That, as they say, floats my boat.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. Fun, fun. All right. And one fun thing about Be Connected, of course, and of course any social media or video conference, is with this digital format, we're really able to meet new people from anywhere in the world. I think Be
Mm.
Connected is in some 120 something countries so far. Now, funny thing about me, when I was 10 years old, I lived in I lived in Utah. I was born in Utah, and when I was 10 years old, we moved to Texas. And of course, it's interesting the ideas we get when we move or think about different areas. Because all I knew, I only knew a few quick things about Texas. I knew that there was some kind of a football team there. I
Mm.
knew that it seemed like from watching the old westerns, kids had to ride a horse to school and wear a cowboy hat and say funny things like y'all, which I did start saying y'all pretty quick, but I never wore a cowboy hat, at least to school, and I never rode a horse to school. So sometimes we get different ideas. And so I know with Australia, if you would have asked me what happens in Australia, I would think, well, they have an interesting accent, and I think of like Crocodile Dundee, and of course there's lots of
Hmm.
kangaroos there, right? So share us from your perspective. Tell us a little bit about your corner of the world in Australia.
Well, I'm living in a place called Newcastle, which is about 160 kilometres north of Sydney, and right on the coast. We've got 12 wonderful little beaches along the area. That I used to be a surf lifesaver, so I used to spend a lot of time down the beach. We're close to the vineyards where we are here as well, so it's in a lot of ways it's similar to places like you have there in California, the vineyards up north near Petaluma, etc. And so it's like that, but and kangaroos, we've got plenty of those, but when we're talking to somebody overseas, we quite often talk about the fact, we used to ride a kangaroo to school and things like that. Because the fun part is that when you haven't traveled or you just know a little bit about a country, you're open to all sorts of stories. And we talk about drop bears being one of the biggest problems over here. They like a koala bear. They're a bit bigger and more vicious with the sharper teeth, and they drop out of trees on tourists when they're walking around.
Oh, wow.
And so we've actually had people believing the stories about the drop bears. And so I'm sure that, if we go to another country and that we can get the same sort of stories from their culture as well. And this is fun because we get to hear those stories with people. We get to laugh about it. We get to know them more effectively. And I remember there was a Scottish journalist, and she was interviewing a couple of men at one of the wildlife parks, and they were talking about drop bears. And they brought a koala out, and they put a riding jacket on her first of all in the reverse direction. They put a helmet on her and big gloves, and they passed the bear to her, and she was very, shaking around it and everything. And then when she got nervous, she's doing the interview with him. They just grabbed the bear, took it like that, put it in the other guy's hands, and off it went. So they really stirred her up for the interview. So a lot of fun in doing that. But Australians, we like to have a good laugh. That's one good thing as well. We laugh at just about anything, and so it makes life nice and easy.
Yes, it's definitely good to laugh and enjoy life, that's for sure. You don't wanna get too serious.
Yeah,
So, all right, well,
exactly.
tell us a little bit about you as far as your business and coaching. What do you do, Alan?
Well, as I said before, it's helping people to build stronger relationships. So the profiling work that I do is all about being able to look at somebody and know their personality from their facial features. And very quickly, if you want to know how that works, because when people think, I can read my face and know my personality, is just a little bit clairvoyancy, etc. Now, if you lift weights, you build muscles in your body, but everything you feel inside, you express outwardly, your body language, your expressions on your face. So when you're thinking and concentrating, you pull expressions over and over again, and you create ridges and crevices on your face to give away your personality. So if I've got your photograph, I've got you live or on a video or anything else, I know your personality. Then I know how to talk to you. And once I've got that feedback from the conversation, because I know that how to talk to you in the way that you need to be spoken to, not the way that I do. Then with the feedback from the body language and expressions, I now know whether I've read you right. Is there something emotionally going on? And are you telling the truth? So I teach people how to do that, all for the purpose of building stronger relationships in their personal life and in their business life. And so that's where the profiling side of things comes into everything that I do.
Nice. I probably learned something very much simpler than that when I was, first worked in sales years and years ago. Of course, they did this, it's kinda like almost like the DISC process, the
Mm,
personality, but the way I learned it was for animals.
mm,
It was, uh, it was like a monkey, so like the fun monkey, the person that, is kind of the life of the party in the room. There was the dog. Now, of course, no offense to people if they're one of these
mm,
things. This is just kind of how it was taught to me. There's like the dog that's the the loyal person. They're much very interested in building relationships first and building trust and going from there. And then there was the owl. The owl is the typical like tech person that wants all the
mm,
details. And then the what was the other one? Oh, the lion, which is kind of like the leader or kind of the leadership role, someone that kind of likes to cut through the fluff and get to the
mm.
bottom line, so to speak. So it sounds like you're definitely a much deeper level than that by being able to see, personality
Yeah,
from someone's face.
yeah. I used to use Myers Briggs and DISC and Enneagrams and all the other profiling systems, but I realized that there were a lot of situations in life where you couldn't ask people questions. Well, say, for instance, in a retail store, for instance, someone comes through the door, you can't put them through a questionnaire first before you start to serve them, but I can read them as they walk through the door. Children, different ethnic groups, language barriers, all those sort of issues. And so the thing is to be able to see them straight away. Because if I'm looking at you, I know you've got a dry wit, and that any conversation we have is going to be fairly laid back. I know you analyze things before you make decisions. I guarantee that you find the errors in documents and things like that pretty quickly. And once you've worked out the best way to do things, is a case of just give me the best way to do it, get out of the way and let me get it done. So you like to get to the action. I can see that straight away, which means then that I then go, okay, I know how I like to take information in, but that probably won't suit you. So therefore, I can talk in a way that matches the way that you want, which is therefore more respectful. And the end result is that I can share what I need to share with you in the way that you need to take it in, and we get build a relationship and rapport much faster. And I can do
Nice.
that without asking a question. So by the time we've done it with DISC, I'm already working with that person and getting results.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, and yeah, you kind of got me nailed. You kind of got me freaked out a little bit now, I guess. So, yeah, pretty much
But for
right
your
on.
audience and that, just to realize this is not about reading somebody to be able to manipulate them, because let's face it, that takes too much work. You've got to keep doing it over and over again.
Right.
But if you build a relationship, life's nice and easy.
For sure. For sure. So how long would it take someone to learn some of those skills from you? Like if you're sharing your resources, you're coaching with someone, how long would it take them at least to get a basic understanding or a basic level of what you just did?
It doesn't take too long at all, because what I look at is what does the person need? If they just say, well, look, when I meet people for the first time, I just want to build some instant rapport. Well, there's about 7 or 8 traits you can see in the face. You can learn those pretty quickly. So I put some online courses together, which means people can self-pace. And that particular course, within 3 hours, you can understand those because it goes through, you watch through the videos, etc. But you've learnt those in about 3 hours, and then you just go out and you apply it. And as I always say to people, how much you focus on the other people will determine how long it takes you to not having first of all watching it and learning it, but then when you start watching other people and going and talking to them, it just depends on how you apply it as to how fast do you actually anchor it into your own neurology. And that's what it's all about. That's why we do things repetitively, so that we can then remember them. And so you just go out, you practice it, and how fast you practice it and the people you're practicing it with will determine how quickly then it just becomes part of everything you do each day.
So if you were to narrow that down into what is the biggest problem that you solve for people with your business, how would you say that? What's the biggest problem that you solve for people?
Improving their relationships and communications. That's what it comes down to. But the reasons for doing that, well, that will be, for people for themselves, that will be multiple reasons. It'll be different for everybody. It could be that they want to feel more accepted by people. Well, being able to build relationships will help you to do that. It could be in the area of sales. So being able to read people works from young toddlers, from the traits that are passed down from the parents and the DNA. As we get older, we add more and more traits in the area of what we call the nurture traits, the ones that we create in response to how we determine to respond to our environment. Because there are 4 things to remember when it comes to reading people: that everybody is suffering or insecure, everybody wears a mask, everybody pretends they're not wearing a mask, and at the same time, we are a combination of how we've decided to respond to all the events in our life. So we realize that everybody's got something that they want, that they're looking for. And by being able to communicate with somebody more effectively, you can always get what you want, and you can always help them get what they want as well. And that's how we build communities.
I see. That reminds me of was it Jim Rohn that had the saying, help, or was it Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar?
I think it was, might have been, I can't remember now, because they
Yeah,
both probably said it at different stages, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you
But
help
yeah,
enough people get what they want, you'll always get what you want.
get what you want. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As I say, you can't light someone else's path without lighting your own as well. So while you're out there and you're helping people, you will get a return. But if your focus is on helping other people, you'll get the return, but it won't be your focus of what you do. It'll be about helping other people as the focus. And that when you get that reward, it's even greater than when you just went out to try and get the reward for yourself.
Nice.
And as they say, and that, what you do for yourself dies with you, but what you do for the community and for other people isn't always will be eternal.
Mm.
And that's
True,
probably the
very
one thing
true.
that's driven the last 20 years of my life. The first 50 years, it was in building relationships with myself, which were pretty disastrous. And it's over 2 decades since I changed my attitude on that. And since then, I've got more relationships, strong relationships around me. And that was while I was focusing on helping other people build their relationships. As I say, I've lit my path so many times while helping other people, like other people's paths.
That makes a big difference. Yeah.
Mm.
Definitely. How
And
did
so
you
that
get?
makes life enjoyable then too, because the connection you have with those people, we never feel alone, because our target is to feel that we belong, that we contribute, that we're valued, that we have a place. And by helping people in that way, you're always going to get the reward.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good motto to live by for sure. Um, so how did you get started with this whole idea of reading people's faces and building relationships that way?
Well, to be honest, I was dreadful at it. I'd been through 2 divorces. I had a lot of broken relationships. When my first wife left, I had 3 sons who were 4, 11, and 12, so I raised them on my own. I've had business partners who emptied the bank out. It was after my second divorce, around my 50th birthday, that I decided I had to change things. You know, I've been thrown in the deep end back in my 20s, when I was put in charge of men who were all older than me. And so I had to get them on side. And I started with body language. That was in the 70s. In the 80s, I got involved with Myers-Briggs and DISC and other psychometric profiling systems. In the 90s, it was NLP, understanding the language we use. But it was in the early 2000s, I was helping a group that taught currency traders. And the problem was they didn't make any money. So I was using Myers-Briggs and DISC and realizing that people weren't matching their personalities, because they tried to second guess what sort of personality they had to have to be a good trader. And I needed a better system. And somebody just said to me one day, you looked at reading faces. And so that's where the face profiling came into it. I looked around the world for the specialists. I found the Paul Ekman group over in California. And Paul was the main man behind learning how to understand the micro expressions on the face. So a psychologist and professor in California there. And a lady by the name of Naomi Tickle, who worked with the facial features, and who has become a dear friend of mine. I went over and trained with her in California as well, and put the body language, the micro expressions, the facial features, and the language we use all together, and created rapid trait profiling, which is very much the science and art of reading people. So 4 sciences that were put together and delivered in an art form.
Now I'm like second guessing all of my like facial gestures. I'm like, he's gonna look at my face. What am I telling him? So awesome. Well, kudos to you for raising. You said three children you raised. That's amazing. Kudos for you doing that, for sure. So, what what motivates you to move forward, like during maybe challenging times? Like that's kind of a challenging time. Your wife leaves you. You have three little ones that you're taking care of. What motivates you to move forward during those times like that?
I quite often look back at those times and think, was I thinking at the time? Or was I just realizing, I've had 3 sons, I had to, keep a roof over their head and all the rest of it, feed them. And so I just focused on the task at hand. I think us men are very good at just taking the responsibility and just getting focused on what we need to do. Whereas, and this is one of the reasons why when it comes to emotions, women outdo us on that, because they share their emotions, they were able to talk about it. But I'm a baby boomer, and we're all told, suck it up, as males, and that keep it all to yourself. You don't share anything. And so I just functioned on doing the job that was in front of me. And so, I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, wonderful, that you raised three sons," but when their mother left, she wanted to go and find herself. So I thought, righty, I give her the sports car so she can get there faster. And I kept the three boys, and the best deal of my life. It was, I think it was a very selfish decision of mine because they kept me on the straight and narrow. Most of the guys were separated. Their children went with their wives. They felt miserable. They were chasing women to try and feel some value in themselves. They were out drinking every night and everything else. And they were feeling very lonely because they weren't connected to their children anymore. I was extremely lucky. I had my boys there. So for me, that was that was the best gift that if she was going to leave, that was the best gift that their mother could give me. And that
Wow.
was to leave the boys with me. So I thank her very much for giving me that opportunity, which is one of the reasons why, as the boys were growing up and she was worried that they didn't respect her anymore, I took the task on hand to make sure that they did point out to her that I'd make sure they did respect her, but she had to then maintain that. And, I got her to start co-parenting with the boys because I realized that children, when they grow up, they need connection to both father and mother, even if the parents are separated, and they need that balance. And if one partner is bagging the other partner, then that partner who's doing the complaining about and putting down their ex will eventually lose the respect of their children. And they're telling their children that half of them is no good. This is a way to lose your kids. You don't have to like your partner, but you respect the fact that, and that's one thing I looked at. I said, well, right, what did my wife bring into the partnership? I could hate her for having walked out and everything else, or I could love her for giving me three sons that I love and respect. So as soon as I made that decision to not hate her, but to love her for that, not needed to be in love with her, but to love her for the fact she gave me three great sons that have grown up into wonderful young men and fathers and husbands, that was a gift. So I thank her for that.
Definitely. It sounds like you got the best end of that bargain, it sounds like.
I
So,
don't often tell them that because, I always joke about when I describe it as chalk and cheese, and I'm still trying to figure out number three, even though he's in his 30s.
nice. Well,
But
what's next for you? What's next with your business? Of course, there's be connected. A lot of exciting things going on with that. What do you see for your future? What's next for you?
well, everything, as I said, is based around leaving a legacy. Making sure that what I do at the moment with the profiling and that goes into it remains after I leave the planet. When I look at it, I've got clients who are still doing testimonials more than a decade after I've worked with them. And so with that, I decided that more people needed to be able to be using what I do. So I've set out to create and train my competition. So in other words, find people who want to do this for the right reason, focus on their clients, help their clients get results. And so I decided to start looking at all the different industries out there, find people in each of those industries, train them, then work with them to create programs that incorporate what it is that they do along with what I do, and then set them up so they can go out and teach others. And so things like Be Connected, well, it's an obvious choice to use this platform for it because, well, first of all, it's a great platform. Everybody that's come in and had meetings with me have actually joined my network in here. So I think there's over 700 people in my network at the moment, and that's grown very quickly. So I've got the connection to those that I might have had a meeting with them and then not seen them after that, but now I've got that connection with them. The platform here, I can promote my business through it, and working with the other coaches and other people in the network, I can grow my reputation, my connections, and that much faster than I can with any other platform, especially when we're able to put a post up and everybody hears it. Whereas with the other platforms, you're lucky to get a small percentage. And
Right.
so it's just a smart way to do it. So this platform helps me build my business so I can get it out into around the world into all the different industries. And presently I'm working with a couple of ex-school principals who get all their courses accredited and then teach those to the school teachers so points that teachers need each year to keep their qualifications. And we're putting a program together for New South Wales school teachers, which is about 300,000 school teachers. So being able to get it into the hands of school teachers, well, where the skills can be used very quickly. From reading a young child, I can tell you what they're going to be like when they get to school, whether they'll fit the school system. We know the hobbies and sports that will suit them. As they're going through their studies, before they pick their final subjects, we know what careers will suit them. And we can then direct them to the right studies, so that when they leave school, they don't just go to university, do a degree, and then find they never use the degree. I've got people over here that have had 2 or 3 degrees, and they're not working in any of those fields. And then be able to find the right partner, one that matches your personality, then know how to keep that partner, then how to build your teams up in the workplace, how to hire the right people. As they say, get the right people on the bus and put those people in the right seats to grow your business. And, I've got kids that I've been training at school that's turned bullying around. So it's removing bullying. At the end of the day, they'll say to you in business, what do you bring to the table, as in products and services? The only answer I've ever been able to give to that question is, I just bring the table, because the relationship is the foundation of everything you do. If you have to have a good product or service, but you also got to be able to build relationships. They're equally important, but the priority is always got to be build the relationship first to be able to show people your products or services. And so that's where all of this comes in. So it's virtually not even the foundation of what we do. It's a cornerstone, the very first brick that they would put in the ground, and then everything else was built off of that. And so being able to read somebody is the focus, then being able to use it, build those relationships, and then everything else gets put on top of that.
Nice, nice. That's powerful. That's powerful. If you had one message for someone in business today, what would that message be?
Well, as I said before, that as far as what you do for yourself dies with you, but at the same time, not just people in business, but everybody, and well, especially with a lot of business at the moment, the way they're struggling. And it was one of your coaches over there in America, John Wooden, who had actually said, the most important thing you'll ever learn is the next thing you learn after you know everything. But I also work with the philosophy. There's an old Arabic saying that says, trust everybody, but lock up your camels at night. And so I put those two together. So it's a matter of learn everything, listen to everybody, take it in, but then work out, as Bruce Lee had said, work out what suits you, ignore what doesn't suit you, and add to it your own flavor. And so that's where I put all that together. I go, okay, take everything in, listen to everything that people have got to say, be discerning about it though, apply what fits and you feel that morally right and everything else. And that way you're always going to be growing. I think it was Jim Rohn who said that, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, because if you're the smartest, you're not growing. And for every business owner, I always say as well, a leader's role is to make themselves redundant by raising others up to do what they can do and hopefully do it better than they've ever done it. Because if you want to work on your business, you need to have good people in the business working on it. You've got to be able to read them, understand them, build relationships with them, trust them, so you can then step out of your business and go and work on bringing more people into the business. So you can see relationships, you can't get away from them. They go through everything. And so the whole thing is to make sure you get it right.
Relationships are key for sure, for
Mm.
sure. Any last anything else you'd like to share?
Well, if anybody, because the people who are on here on the Be Connect at the moment, really look at the platform and keep your mind open, look at how you can actually build it and keep connections with everybody. The good thing about the platform in here is that we're attracting business people, entrepreneurs, whereas a lot of the other platforms are a mixture of, well, there's also a lot of fake accounts on there as well.
Right.
And so, remember that the people in here want to be in here, they want to grow their business. But when you're actually talking to somebody else, always look from the point of view, how can I help that other person? Start with that first of all. That will draw the other person to you, and you'll be able to build relationships faster as well because of that. It's about being genuine.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, thank you coming and being our guest speaker today on this first edition of Thrive in the Hive.
Thank you.
And one of our top coaches, Alan Stevens, one of our top coaches here on Be Connected. And I look forward to traveling to Australia, going down under, and visiting with Alan personally one of these days. So, thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate you, and we'll see you in the Hive here on Be Connected before too long again, I'm sure.
Definitely. Thanks very much.
All right, take care. Have a great day.
You too. Bye for
All
now.
right, bye now.